drive-in. Tell them that we went to the drive-in.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Mega Movie Drive-In. We got a new set of reviews and a new set of movies for you. First up is Earth vs. the Spider. This is a sci-fi horror movie directed by, written by, produced, and some special effects done by Burt Gordon. He also directed The Cyclops, which we have covered before. Distributed by American International Pictures, this was released on either September 7th or 10th, I kind of found both days, as a double feature with The Brain Eaters. Gotta look into that one later. We had a lot of bugs in Season 1 and 2, so let's see if we can get some more 8-legged, 9-legged, 12-legged arachnid monsters this season after our title screen and some very spooky music. We cut to a dark and scary road at night. Oh, I love this already. And wow, didn't see that coming. We meet Carol Flynn, who is played by June Kenny, being chased by Mike Sampson, played by Gene Peterson.
This is Mike, remember? The boy with a golden heart and the memory of an elephant.
Man, that's a great pickup line. It turns out it's Carol's birthday, but her father didn't come home last night. That would probably be the guy in the truck we just saw. Mike thinks he probably just got loaded and didn't come home, and Carol is pissed off by this comment. But he gets back in at it.
He said he'd be back before dinner last night.
Well, that doesn't mean a thing, Carol. I mean, it isn't the first time.
Then ducked again. This guy sucks at talking more than I do. I feel a science class coming on. Oh, what do you know? It's about electric currents. This is probably going to come in handy later. This teacher's name is Mr. Kingman, played by Ed Kemmer.
Now for our next experiment. If Mike, Carol, and Joe have finished their business.
Mike helps make it up to Carol for those comments by going to look for her old man. And just for the record, he is driving on the wrong side of the road. They come across some rope, or maybe it's web, that they find covering the road. She finds the present that her father was bringing her home that night. Carol is freaked out, and the whole time Mike is trying to stay positive. And then she finds his truck. What is Mike gonna say now?
It's Dad.
Good thing he got out of it in time.
Well, if he's hurt, he could still be around somewhere.
That's right, he could be. But he isn't.
Mike then finds her dad's hat, but doesn't tell her. The kids decide to check out a cave near where they found the truck crashed. Not too much happens at first besides Carol almost being impaled by a giant rock and finding some perfectly preserved skeletons and then falling into a giant spider web. Nothing too major. And then the kids hear a screech.
What's that noise?
I don't know. It's the regular net we're on, you know that?
There it is again.
And then we see our monster. Good old composite shots. Real animals onto a screen, and then these guys are running from it on a different screen. Absolutely love it. I would really like to know who did the sound effects for the spider scream, though. If anyone knows, please leave that in the comments.
It does look like a large piece of natural silk.
What did we tell you?
But that doesn't necessarily prove there's a giant spider. That part's pretty hard to swallow.
My son is not in the habit of lying, Mrs. Kingman.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Lieutenant, I want you to know that Steve is not in the habit of telling lies.
They tell Mike's father, played by Hal Torrey, about the spider and the smashed truck, and for some reason, all they do is end up at the science teacher's house. His wife is there, and her name is Helen, played by Sally Fraser. I guess to explain what the rope could be. All Kingsman suggests is that the sheriff needs to call an exterminator. The sheriff, played by Gene Roth, says, I don't know too much about giant spiders, but we'll investigate the truck the kids found. So he sends a Deputy Sanders, played by Bill Gregorio, who doesn't look any better to do the job than the sheriff.
What can I do for you?
Oh, don't go yet. It's only that high school teacher.
Who trusts this guy anyways?
A giant spider. What next?
Yeah, he really doesn't care. So they do end up calling an exterminator, and he brings a gas truck full of some liquid called DDT, which is used to kill spiders, I guess. Once inside the cave, the mood changes pretty quick. Now the sheriff and his posse believe in the giant spider. But I would like to point out this one scene.
A wildlife, eh, Kingman? That's about as big as they come, I'd say.
I wouldn't handle it if I were you. It might have rabies.
So unnecessary. Unfortunately, they do find Carol's dad. Here's one thing that bothers me about this scene. After finding Carol's dad's remains, no one acknowledges the other skeletons in the cave. What the f***? There are no other missing persons in this town? It should be small enough that... whatever. Anyway, moving on. They are back on denying the spider exists all of a sudden for some reason, and yet there's all these dead bodies all around them. Again, who hired these guys? After they find the giant web, again, their minds change pretty quick. They draw the spider outside the cave and use the DDT on it. The spider kills Sanders, but no loss there. But they knock the spider out. A couple of quick questions I have here. Is this a tarantula? If so, I thought they don't build webs. Anyway, they call it a bird spider, but I really have no idea. Feel free to correct me in the comments again if you know what kind of spider this is. I'm not an arachnologist, an arachnologist, a spider guy. On the way out, Carol realizes she dropped the present that her father was going to get her, but she can't get it back because of all the DDT gas that was sprayed inside the cave. So the sheriff says close off the hole and nothing gets in or out. Mr. Kingsman, on the other hand, wants to know if there's other bug stuff inside that cave, and he also wants to keep this one alive and put it on display for the whole world to see. But first, he lets the camera club practice taking pictures on it. Well, thinking of your students first is okay. This teacher is Mr. Fraser, played by Jack Coulson. He's a pretty cool dude, but the spider still bitch slaps him pretty hard. Carol is feeling pretty shit and down in the dumps about dropping her father's present. He did die buying it for you, after all. But anyway, she calls Mike at work to help her go find it. You gotta love how Burt plugged one of his other movies into this one. Okay, he's really pushing it with the Easter eggs now.
Hugo!
Who's calling Hugo?
I just remembered where I've seen this guy before.
Oh, no.
This is Hugo the janitor, played by Elmer Calvin Hank Patterson. He lets the band get a jam in before the big dance that night.
2, 3, 4.
Well, okay, let's go.
But the spider isn't feeling the tune, though. And unfortunately for Elmer, he doesn't escape either. Now the giant spider is on a rampage. The sheriff sends one of his new deputies, hopefully this guy's a lot better than the last one, to go get help because all the phones are down. Normally I'll show anything with a 50s movie, but after the spider takes off and does more damage, it shows a car crash and there's a baby covered in blood. And the baby is alive, but holy sh**, wow, for 1958, this is powerful. That's kind of extreme. Well, not by today, but back then, and poor kid. The monster continues its destruction and somehow finds Mr. Kingsman's house, and Helen and his baby are inside. Kingsman drives right into the monster's ass and takes off. Talk about a hit and run. The spider chases him back to the hills near the cave. And guess who's still in the cave?
Here it is. I guess you're happy now, huh?
Oh, I am, no kidding.
Well, at least they found the bracelet that her father got her. And the sheriff can't keep anyone. So much for that guy going to get help.
You also gotta love this James Hetfield looking guy right here.
They get word that the spider is back in the cave, so they say, okay, let's blow it up and cover up the opening. For some reason, the sheriff leaves Mike's father in charge of his office, and he gets a call that pretty much lets him know that Mike and Carol are up in the cave.
Well, it's a good idea to check. What's the boy's name?
Well, it was Mike and Carol Flynn.
Mike and Carol get lost in the cave and end up, yep, you guessed it, in the spider web again. Mike's father shows up just as they're blowing open the holes to the front of the cave. Good timing, Dad. Well, they gotta dig it out now to get the kids out.
Let's go.
Open up the cave again? That's easy to say, Sheriff, but it's going to take some doing. Yeah! About half the hillside down.
Well, then we better start clearing it away.
No, why didn't I think of that? Agnes, we've got work to do.
Not bad, but we have plenty to go.
Sting, you look tired. Maybe you should take a rest.
Not while one of my fans needs me.
They better work quick, though, because that spider's after the kids. They find the bees trying to scale a wall to get to Mike and Carol. They run the power line, here comes that science back in, to where the spider is, and they use 2 electrodes to zap the fucker. The last scene is the sheriff thanking everyone for helping them as they come out of the cave. And then they drop some dynamite down there.
Until some egghead comes along and digs it up again.
And boom! All the exits are closed off. The end. Hope there's nothing else in there because they really didn't do a good job blowing up the cave. All they did was just blow the entrances. So Earth versus the Spider. I loved it. A very cool movie with a basic plot about a town versus a monster. But it's extremely entertaining. The acting is a little cheesy at times. And Mike, well, he's a little cheesy, but it's not that bad. Each character is different and none are boring. Nothing in this movie felt dragged out or like filler. The monster effects are kind of dated. The spider's also kind of slow, but what are you going to do? But the actors actually interact with it very well. Overall, this is a good movie, even for today. I just wish they did an epilogue with Carol and Mike. Are they still together? Or did Mike say something else stupid?